It is really unusual at the middle part of your career, and certainly as you get more senior, not to be in critical meetings. You're left out of important conversations at work. Here's how you might handle that. First of all, make sure that you do not have an emotional response. There is no place for an emotional response, especially to that particular event in your work environment. Secondly, you want to make sure that you understood who made the decisions around who was going to be invited to the meeting. Sometimes, let me tell you, people are not specifically invited. Folks just believe that they are supposed to be there because they are touching whatever that topic is in some way. You must get your confidence up to sometimes just go into the meeting when you know it is going to happen. And if you are not supposed to be in that meeting, then let someone says, "No, I don't think you should be here in this meeting." If it is your boss, say, "Okay, I'd like to talk to you about this afterwards." If it is a peer, you might want to ask the question right then, "Well, why not?" "Because I'm working on A, B, and C. So I think I should be here." And if the person telling you that you should not be in that meeting really doesn't have any power to tell you that you shouldn't be in that meeting, you should go and take a seat anyway until otherwise notified. Here's the deal. Sometimes people only want folks in meetings that are going to be decision makers. Sometimes you have to ask to be able to go to a meeting. And you might say something like this to your boss. I've worked really hard on this analysis that I know you all are going to be discussing. I would love to be in the meeting just to hear how you guys talk about this analysis and how you arrive at a decision. It would be really instructive for me, or it would really add to my development. And I'm happy to sit on the side of the room, something like that. But you must exercise your power and ask if you find that time after time after time you're not being invited. Because here's the deal, sometimes your boss is just not thinking about it. They're so focused on their role in the meeting that they're not thinking in a developmental fashion around inviting their people to the meeting so that you can learn. Working on Wall Street and in investment banking for a few decades, it is clearly an apprentice business. You actually learn by observing other people. You actually learn by doing. Sure, you learn a few things when you're in graduate school. You learn a few things in your inaugural training, but most of the training actually happens while you're on the job. So it is critical that you're in some of those meetings. Now, when you are an analyst or a first or second or third year associate, there may not be a role for you to speak, or you may be working on a transaction where the senior people feel that only the senior people should be in the meetings. Well, if you're in that kind of situation, remind yourself that this too will pass. And then, right after that meeting, you go to your senior person that was in that meeting and you say, "Can you give me a little bit of a summary? I'd like to learn from that, given all the work that we did." That will also hopefully trigger them to think the next time they might exercise their power and have you in the room anyway. It's important that you understand who's making the decision about being in the meeting, who made the call, whether or not somebody might have forgotten before you even begin to think about having an emotional reaction. Exercise your power and assume you are invited unless somebody tells you that you are not. If somebody tells you that you are not, that also gives you a great opportunity to talk about it afterwards and figure out what needs to happen in order for you to be in the meeting the next time. Being in those meetings, especially early on in your career, is a learning opportunity. If you are in the middle part of your career, chances are you should be in that meeting. And if you are not being invited to that meeting, you really need to have a conversation with your boss and talk about why they don't think you should be in that meeting and see if you can argue back and forth about giving you a shot. It is really unusual at the middle part of your career, and certainly as you get more senior, not to be in critical meetings. So don't let the opportunity go by without having the conversation so that the next time you can get into that meeting. Go get them.